Now, let's get back to the channel. It's been a very busy weekend. I can show you a series of the latest social media clips that are being posted by the Albanian gangs on TikTok and elsewhere. And they're not apologising in any way at all. They show pictures here of this is the Serbia to Austria route, people being smuggled in through vans, as you would expect, 90% young men. And actually, you know, the gangs are boasting about the routes that they're taking, boasting that there's no fence, no border wall, no external EU barrier that is actually any obstacle to these people at all. They boast of the different nationalities they're bringing in to the United Kingdom. And as fast as TikTok closed these accounts down, new ones get set up, new ones get opened. We see pictures of them crossing the channel, everybody looking very jolly, very happy, a calm day, the engine working, the symbol they make, the symbol, the two-fingered symbol. And here's somebody we just saw on that boat, practicing with guns, living it up in nightclubs, got oodles of cash, which is very clearly from the drugs trade, and a very, very sinister last picture of this particular individual holding what looks like a Glock pistol, and again, making that symbol of the Albanian drugs gangs. And I can tell you, we've seen in the last few weeks and months, we've seen young men walking up the gangplank at Dover, making that gang symbol. Yesterday, there were two boats that landed on a beach at a place called Aycliffe, just along the road from Dover. About 80 people escaped off into the Kent countryside. For all we know, about 60 have been rounded up. In one case, a woman had her back door open. It was a lovely Sunday morning, and one of these young men walked in and asked to use the telephone. So the residents of Kent, as you would expect, clearly very, very unhappy. But maybe there's some good news. And the Special Investigations Editor of the Daily Mail, Sue Reid, is with me. Sue, I think you've spent as much time covering this subject as I have. So there's a glimmer of hope when Suella Braverman was there. We did manage to get some people, according to your article in today's Mail, deported.
Suella Braverman actually did very well. It may well have been the land might have been laid by, the plan might have been laid by Priti Patel, but it was under Suella Braverman's watch. Mm-hmm. And they managed to get 12 people out. They were young men. I've met them. I met them in Albania last week. They were wanting to come here as economic migrants. They didn't claim asylum at the processing centre. They were then taken to one side, taken to a plane, one in each of 12 vans,
yep,
security vans. So it was a very good, meticulous operation, and you take your hat off to the Home Office for doing it. But, of course, as people will say, only 12?
So if they claimed asylum, would they not have been deported?
They could not have been deported.
But hang on a second. Albania is a NATO member,
yeah,
an EU applicant country.
It hasn't, they haven't had a war for 25 years.
No war for a quarter of a century. Plus, Brits go there. There are adverts in the Sunday newspapers to go and visit resorts in Albania. How on earth can anybody from Albania claim refugee status?
Well, they do, because they think it's the way to get in. But I think the beach landings yesterday, yesterday,
yeah,
are very significant, because I think the Albanians have realised that they don't want to, go to a processing centre that we know is now overcrowded.
This is Manston.
Manston, it's the first point after... Yeah. You come into Dover, you have initial processing, then go to Manston. There are now over 3,000 there, and it's meant to have 1,200. There's diphtheria there. I've been told there's also tuberculosis. They're overcrowded. I've been told today that they deliberately make it a hostile environment. So who wants to go there? So what do the traffickers do, or the Albanians? They come to the beaches instead. And that is what happened yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my fear is they might start coming through the night, which would make them even harder to detect than perhaps they are on a misty day at sea now. So 10,000 Albanians, we estimate, have come in the last few months. 12 have been deported. So there's no good news here at all, really, is there?
Well, there is, because it shows it can be done with the will to do it. And that is important. It's a chink in the armour. And, of course, it's, you know, the worst thing about what's happening is that the world is, you know, the UK politicians are ignoring this. And I come from the north of England, as you know, and I can tell you that it is a huge problem for people in the north of England.
The politicians are ignoring it. Rishi mentioned it in the previous campaign, but not in this one at all. So he'll say there are no outstanding promises. Let me ask you something. As someone that's worked in British media for many, many years, why are so few in the media covering this?
Look, I know quite a lot of people in Fleet Street on different papers. There is definitely a move to silence journalists on this, particularly by the lawyers. They will not allow free debate, and responses to articles are cut off. And it is incredibly serious for free speech.
Well, Sue Reid, you're going to go on battling away.
I will.
On this subject. We're going to go on battling away here at GB News on this subject, and maybe in the end we'll do some good. Thank you for coming in and for joining me.